Barber College Success, brought to you by Crown Cuts Academy JC, Crown Cuts Academy Bristol, and Craig's Crown Cuts downtown JC. Today we're going to have a banging episode talking about financing, budgeting, how to get ahead. Again, we're going to spread love the Crown Cuts way. The only way we know how to do it is the JC way. So let's spread love. We're going to introduce my guest. We have this guest that came all the way from Arizona just to be on the podcast. He's been listening to it. We're going to hear his commentary. He's going to give us some advice about what he thinks. And we got two awesome students from Jenny Lee Academy on the show. They're going to drop their commentary and give us some gems. And I'm going to let them introduce myself. But first, I'm going to start with the man, the myth, my co-host all the way from around the world, from way past 81 up north. Come down one time for your mind. Boom.
Am I Fields? Am I your barber? Back again. It's a blessing to be here.
My name's Bo. You find me at Bo the Barber on Instagram. Glad to be here.
My name is Wyatt. My Instagram tag is Wyatt Phipps Clips. Glad to be here.
This is Sean, coming from Arizona, and glad to be here and listen to my guys.
So today we're going to talk about budgeting. One of the key things that barbers do, and we talk about it all the time, is barbers, they have a good income. So we're going to talk about how to keep your income. What kind of things that you can do to help you get on track? Because I've always said barbers have two things that's a pro and a con. Have money in their hands every day. And it's a pro and a con. Because you have money in your hands every day, that means you want to spend every day. So we're going to talk about that. My guess, Bo, when you think and you hear about budgeting, what comes to your
Financial planning and financial literacy, and trying to keep the money that you worked hard for.
Why you think that's important?
Well, like you just said, it's really easy for a barber who gets money every day and cash in hand every day to go out and blow it. And one of the things we talked about at school before is barbering's one of those things where quickly you can lose yourself and you'll get stuck and you'll be 65 not being able to retire,
right?
Because you spent everything.
But we're going to talk about other ways too, on top of that, on top of budgeting, to kind of have some passive income. We're going to add that in there because it's important. While you barber and making money, you have to put that money to use so it can work for you.
Right.
And me and my co-host, we had a little conversation about that last night.
Serious conversation.
Yeah. So what do you think about when you hear talking about budgeting and making money in this industry? What comes to your mind?
When I think about, of course, the term generational wealth comes by my face. Like, I think about what I'm going to leave for my family afterwards. Like what not so much for me because I'm not a material person, but definitely for the plan for my family's future. That's what I
think. I think more of like a long term. Like short term is obviously important, but like I think just setting yourself up for after you're like no longer working, stuff like that.
I mean, because some barbers, they go into the 60s, 70s. And what kind of barber do you want to be?
I definitely want to do that, but I don't want to be cutting hair until then.
Right.
Like I want to be in the game. I just want to be more of like, or even an instructor would be nice.
Right. And keep those options open, because once you keep those options open, then barbering becomes fun. So, Shiz, when you hear budgeting, when you hear finances, what goes through your mind? What are you thinking about just from the outside coming in? Because you just got off the highway. Just drove from Arizona, you're driving back. What goes to your mind?
Yeah, Craig, what goes to my mind is planning, how to plan our route, especially from driving this way. How am I going to spend the money that I just earned driving cross country? Right. So what I'm saying is planning, knowing where your stops are going to be, and try to find out the best financially how you're going to make this trip instead of going through all these extras thing where I have to borrow from Paul and pay Peter and all that type of stuff. So I decided to plan it out. And, that's very important in the planning part of it. And then I'm not a barber or anything, but, being a school teacher, getting paid, well, in the old days, you used to get paid once a month. So you got to learn how to do that.
Right.
How my budget, am I paying all my bills, and do I got something to spend in here through, this next week? Can I go eat out with my family or whatever? And it's all about protecting your family. So I got to learn how to do those things. So planning is part of the budget. Um, Knowing what you can and cannot do, and what you can afford at that particular time, because we can't put a whole lot of savings in.
Right.
It just comes and goes. So and I'm sure it's harder for barbers to know if I got all this money in my hand, and how can I save this thing. I know it's tough for you guys, just like it would be for a teacher.
It don't have to be tough. It doesn't have to be tough, and that's why I started the podcast, so you can get like firsthand information. Because I think if you prepare to fail, you fail to prepare. You can prepare to fail by failing to prepare, and I think it's important when this podcast is called Barber College Success for a reason, setting you up in a position to be successful, not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now, but from the first day you walk into a school. You have to start thinking about budgeting. You have to start thinking about that process, because the money is going to come. And that's one thing I know for a fact. A lot of barbers, they're not careful. They spend a lot early.
And it's hard too when you got that big wad of cash in your pocket afterwards, and you're like, man, I think I'll go out to eat tonight. I ain't gonna buy no groceries. I saw them like go to the mall or something. You see them sneakers, like I got it. You know what I'm saying? You don't think about the future.
But it's not even about going out to eat tonight. You're talking about when you're in the shop. Some barbers, they buy breakfast, they
Mhm.
buy lunch, and they buy dinner.
Yep.
So when you hear that, you have to prepare yourself for a certain scenario, because this career, what you put into it, what you're gonna get out of it. What you put into it is what you're gonna get out of it. And I think where barbering is getting so popular right now, we have to add different jewels, change the game up, because now the key is, like you said, Sean, preparing. So what's one way that we prepare? What do you think, Bo?
Retirement planning for sure is a really big one with this industry.
Mm-hmm.
Things like health insurance and that kind of stuff is another big one. Where
Right.
a lot of times, you're kind of on your own with that stuff. Retirement, you're on your own a lot of the time. I mean, and then to the other side, like you just said, like basic spending habits. Don't go out to lunch every day. Don't go out to eat every single night. Maybe pack your lunch every once in a while. Um, and I think it's everything from the most basics of, like I just said, just not going out to eat too as big as retirement, and that kind of stuff.
So one of the key things for me is, as you say, planning is coming up with a personal budget. You can start coming up with a budget as a student the first day of school, planning your month ahead, your 2 months, 3 months, your midterm point during your career in school, and towards the end. Because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Jay, what do you think about that?
I think like learning how to make money with the money that you already have is a big thing.
Right.
Like learning how to turn that money into more money.
And we're gonna talk about that here in a second, because as you start investing in yourself and this money coming in, you have to start thinking about passive income.
We had that conversation the other day.
So what is passive income?
I guess it's you can do while you're not working, while you are working, makes itself, like stocks, bonds.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, close to what he said. Just diversified income, and money that you can make while you're doing other things. Kind of like Emma said.
What do you think about, Sean? You have passive income.
Your man touched on it, like stocks and stuff, like investments, short investments that can become long term things. Um, a buddy of mine, a kid of mine, like former football player, back in Moreno Valley, California, and he hit me up one day and asked, Coach, what are you doing? I have these what they call trucks, game trucks. And I'm saying, what is a game truck? And then when I did some research on it, the game truck is a investment that where you basically go to parties and they like a food truck, but you take it down over there or a party wagon and the kids play video games. And I'm saying that's a pretty good idea if you want to spend a lot of times with kids, you know. But yeah, it sounds interesting.
Yeah.
And anything passive that you can do while you work.
Anything and like that's been the extra income because say you don't work on Saturdays or I mean on Sundays and Mondays or something, you have parties, I mean game, whatever it is. And so we all be having a chance. And I think the barbering thing would be the same thing. You have other avenues to do other go do a seminar or something like that, schedule some of those things.
Right.
Then that means you're talking, you can make some extra income.
For sure.
All right.
I want to say one thing that I noticed that new barbers do when they first get in the shop or get in school is they got to buy every clipper, every
Oh
new
my
gosh.
clipper,
I was
every
gonna
new
talk about
trimmer,
that.
everything. I mean, and I'm like, listen, guys, y'all don't even know what y'all got yet. How you gonna get something else you don't even know what you got? So that's one thing I always tell them. Like, it's a dark hole. They all cut hair. It might be one something a little better, but
I think the perception is if you have the Lamborghini, it's going to make you cut better.
oh yeah, that's what it is.
And as we all know, it's a process.
That's
It's
how
a-
they advertise it, though.
It's a process and it's time. And you can't shortcut that process. We've talked about that numerous times. So again, building those proper habits while in school will help you go a long way. We talked about budgeting, coming up with a plan, excuse me, a personal monthly budget to help you ease the tension. So come up with a monthly budget. What's one of the first things that you should put on a budget for yourself while in school?
Uh, I would guess housing, wherever you're going to live, would be first.
Yeah, the monthly rent.
Yeah.
The monthly rent. Because most people have somewhere to live, and that's on the list. Yeah, expenses. You go up with your expenses. Then the next thing is if you have a car, your car payment, because that has to get you to school, and you start planning that process while you're in school. When you become a barber, you will have a plan in place for emergencies, because the old adage is you need to have at least 6 months of income when you budget and you plan it. At least 6 months ahead.
Like an emergency fund.
Emergency fund, at least 6 months. 6 months is proper. So after the car payment, what's after the car payment?
Food is a big one.
Food is a big one. And it can be on there.
Insurance, yeah.
Insurance and renters
Yeah.
and gas.
Yeah. It's on there, and it's going down the line. Rent, monthly rent, car payment, car insurance, fuel, upkeep, maintenance, electricity, gas, health insurance, entertainment, because you have to have a little bit of time for yourself too. You don't want to just be too tight doing things
Right.
where you don't have a little bit of time for yourself.
I
So-
cut this older guy's hair the other day, and he is probably about 70. And I was telling him how I was going to the beach. I said some people are starting to get upset with me because I'm taking vacations. And he said, listen, he's like, I'm blessed. He said, I got all the money in the world right now. He said, I don't want to go nowhere. He said, I want to stay at home. He said, you go experience things. He's like, you don't want to save too much to where you can't enjoy life.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you can't take it with you. And he said that, spending time with your family early or doing things and experiencing things is important, because when you get older, you might not be able to or want to
Right.
do those things.
You have to have some leisure time for yourself. Leisure time is important. Shout out to Earn Your Leisure. That's a great podcast. Everybody should go and check out. Two great guys. Groceries. What about groceries? You got to eat. You got to budget for yourself. And if you meal prep and meal plan, that helps you too. Shout out to HelloFresh.
Yeah.
Shout out to them because that helps a lot of people.
It does.
Oh, by far. I mean, we our podcast, we pushed so far, and we've been getting plenty of love from around the web. Plenty love. Top 25 in barber content on the web. So I mean, that's that we getting plenty love, and there are a lot of people who always hitting me up, sending me messages. Craig, I'm just listening to your podcast. I'm starting barber school in 2 weeks. Thanks for the content that you and I are putting out. It's really important. It has helped us made our mind up about this industry. Those things are important because people actually want to know, because these are questions that people have. Because the key is, you start this industry, you want to know how you're going to get paid. But before you get paid, you have to learn how to save that money you're getting paid to. And that's what this podcast is about today. So, Jay, when you hear us talking about this budgeting, what goes through your mind? Are you a budgeter?
Oh yeah, I'm heavy budgeter. Like everything, I stress about money so bad. It's like it's honestly a weakness as much as it is a strength.
So it's a pro and a con. Like I
Yeah.
said, it's having that income in your hand every day, because you're going to get tips. And if you're doing dependent commission or booth rent, you might be getting paid every day. That is dangerous.
I think it starts in school, because like even in school, you might be doing, you know, whatever, however much for a haircut, and it might be getting $2 tips for some old man. But and you're like, and you go spend that on soda or whatever, and you're like, oh, it's just $2. And then a month goes by, you making $10 in tips. You're like, I'm gonna pay lunch. It's just like, and if you just spending that money every time you get it, and it starts early. If you start early, even if it's just a $2 tip, you put that $2 in your pocket, roll it over to tomorrow. You save some money.
One of the best ways, one of the best things I've heard this student did when he was in school, he came in and he said, Craig, I'm going to save all my tips from the first day. And when I leave school, I'll buy all my equipment that I need. He saved all his tips.
I've done that for about the last 4 months, and I never realized how much tips I was getting until I just recently counted it up as well.
And you're up there.
Yeah, definitely.
You're up there, and that's important. People don't think those little, it adds up. You think, 50 cents here, $1 here, $2 here. You might get lucky one day somebody drop a 20 on you. That frequently happens for students. $20. That frequently happens. So if you add those things up over 9 months in school, you might be upwards of maybe $1,000 or even more. That's plenty enough for
I
equipment.
don't know. There's some dudes out there. I don't know.
I mean, that's plenty enough for equipment. I mean, you can buy the latest pair of clippers, the latest pair of shears, whatever you need, combs. You can boss yourself up. You can really boss yourself up.
I got a question for you guys. I have a question for you guys being barbers. Will it be feasible for a student right there to go to basically get like tools your tools that you need to be donated to you and stuff like that? I mean, that's something you guys use to save money as a whole.
I know. I've been given some clippers before, and I think any barber probably has. And honestly, if I've probably given away. I've had extra clippers that, like, if a student, like I've had kids that come in the barbershop and showed interest, like just 13-year-old, 12-year-old kids that say, "Hey, I want to be a barber," and I'll give them a pair of trimmers or clippers if I got them laying around. Because I mean,
Paid for it.
yeah, you could. I mean, it could spark something in a kid. And I know for one instance that there's a kid. He's 15, and his parents have gone so far to buy him his own chair, and he cuts all their hair.
Right.
And I think that's something that I think most barbers do.
Well, most schools, as it is, you get a kit. You get a student kit that has clippers, combs, anything you need to start your career off with. But there are some people who come by the school and donate stuff all the time. There's people who come by and actually want to pay students tuition. So people stop by and like, hey, I have some tools, and they've just been sitting around. I just want to give them to you. So that happens all the time. And that's why I tell people about this industry. This industry is so much love. This industry is so great. And you don't really get to see the benefits of it until you're out there working. You're in school and you're thinking, man, this school is long, it's taking forever. But enjoy that innocent time. Enjoy that innocent time, because that innocent time is going to be fun and it's going to go by so fast. But if you don't have proper habits during that innocent time, you're not going to have proper habits when you get out there in the shop. It's valuable. It's important. It's important. Again, shout out to Lathan over there at Market Street Media. If you have any questions, send us the questions. He will hit us up and put them on the board. And again, shout out to Lathan and Market Street Media and our sponsor, Colossal Brand. Jay doing this thing. Hit him up, Colossal Brand, colossal.org. He'll hit you up. We got some of the fire gear out there. It's really good. Hit him up. He does it all. Hit him up. Anyway, back to the lecture on hand. Personal monthly budget. I think every student should start with a personal monthly budget while they're in school. Because again, having those habits can take you a long way. What are your thought process when you get out of school, both of you guys?
Like as far as like me
when
getting into a shop and then budgeting.
Yes. What are your thought process when you finish school? I want to hear your thought process, then we'll elaborate on that.
I'm just looking for like a good place to work that fits my vibe.
Mhm.
Like just like there's a lot of shops like around here, and like not all of them are the same. Not all of them have
Right.
the same clientele. So I'm looking for something more that like fits me, and hopefully I can make a difference for them, bring something to the table.
And that's a good attitude. That's a great attitude. What about you, Mr. B?
Pretty much the same. Just finding the right spot, the right fit for me. But regarding budgeting, that's going to obviously a big part of it.
Right.
Because my budget now is obviously as a full-time student pretty small.
Right.
So going into that, it's going to, I'm going to want to build that savings account back up. I'm going to want to get to a more comfortable spot because once you graduate and start as a barber, it's wheels up. You got to go and you got to start moving on your career and stuff.
And the reason I asked you that, because going back to budgeting and starting having good practices, because the better practice you have while you're in school, when you get out, that money's going to come back. And you have to, again, reload and start budgeting again, because school, $15,000, $17,000, most schools, or even more. Some schools are 25, some schools are 30, 34, some schools are 29. But there's not too many places where you're going to go to school, get your education, and be able to make what you paid for school in half a year. So you're going to make that money back. So it's going to come back to you where you have to get back those principles of starting to save and starting to budget all over again, because now your expenses are going to go up, because you're going to want to start buying new things, buying equipment, buying tools to do your service. But it's important, again, to start a great foundation while you're in school, because if not, you're practicing to fail.
And saving money is the biggest thing. Like if you could save money, I mean, just put. And then the one way that I manage saving money is I try to anything that I get cards goes directly into my savings account.
Mm-hmm.
So I just the only time I have spending money is just the cash I have on hand. So anything that comes in as a card, it just goes straight to my savings account, and it just builds up, and I don't even touch it. So, and that's one way I just live with what I have in my pocket. So.
What are ways you save, bro?
I'm a pretty bad saver, honestly.
Well-
I know Emma mentioned doing your kit. I was one of those people. I ran and got all the nicest stuff. And
Jay, what's going
why
on?
is a saver, man?
Jay got the diamond chain. He
Yeah.
want to talk about
I am a
budget.
saver, but I definitely splurge on some new
I
equipment.
spend money I don't have.
I mean, but Jay, you got to talk to your parents and be like, hey, check this out. This is how we do it.
We all ran into it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
We didn't have much talking to do about it.
Yeah.
It was
Cool.
pretty quick.
So getting back to this personal, but I'm gonna give people a little glimpse on a personal budget. You want to have your expenses, have all your expenses down, and then your income, and then whatever you have left over, you can save. Because typically, if on a dollar, you want to be able to save at least, after you pay your bills might be 50%. You want to save at least 20% of a dollar every time. 20% is a good amount. I think that can put you in the right direction. What do you think, Sean?
Don't ask me that. I really don't have any other than, I give it to the wife. The wife usually, do all the budgeting and things like that. But, overall, though, it's just, yeah. And, yeah, somebody that's good with those type of things. And, raising the family and everything, you have to be able to do it to the T.
Right.
what are we getting this month? Our checks or whatever it is, our income for this month is this, and our bills are that. So, like you said, we put it in the list, and then you scratch off every time that you pay that particular bill, you scratch it off. That's done. So now you know what you have. You got to put them in categories. This is what my going out, and this is what I make.
So put it on paper.
Put it on paper so you can see it. You got to be a visual. You got to be visual.
That's important.
Yeah.
Would you say,
I agree
bro?
to that, like really heavily. So when I was in college, before I went to barber school, I was oddly enough, like I wasn't as spending as I am now, and I was for sure.
So where's this coming from?
It's all the shiny stuff,
What you
man.
getting all
You
these
see
bad
those
habits
shiny
from?
clippers, you gotta buy them. But for me, put writing it down. I had a little Excel
Right.
thing, and having it written down was super helpful, just because like this is what I'm getting out the door every
Right.
month. This is what I'm bringing in. So I vouch for that for sure. Write it down always.
It's always good to have something visual, because when it's visual, you remember it.
Yeah.
Number one, and then when it's written down, it has the opportunity to hold you accountable. Because if you don't see it, it's out of sight, out of mind. But just having that reminder right that it's written down, you're like, oh,
It has some weight.
it has some weight, it has some
Yeah.
validity. Yeah,
You can
that's
see
something.
the increase too. You can see your growth as well, especially
Right.
because the time you're not going to make what you make starting off as you will, 2 or 3 years down the road. You're going to continually increase, and that's one way you can say that. I mean, some people measure their success in that way, which it is. That's why we ultimately work, is to make money to support our families. So that's one way you can measure your success and your growth.
So these are some questions that you can ask yourself as you begin to think about getting on the budget. How do your expenses compare to your income? Why is that important?
Because you don't want to be spending more on stuff than you make, especially. So like,
Being in debt,
yeah,
right?
you don't want to go into debt for everything.
What do you think, Bo?
I mean, just like what Wyatt said, I don't ever want to be in the red too long.
Right.
And you just don't want to outweigh any kind of income with expenses. And ideally, you'd keep expenses pretty well below income if you
Yes.
could make that happen.
I think sometimes, and I don't know why I thought about this, but sometimes you got to take a hit to grow. Sometimes, sometimes you got to make, because you were talking about before on other podcasts when you had to go to instructor school. Sometimes you got to take a hit to advance. And
Oh yeah.
That's true, but you don't have to put your hand in the fire all the time to get burnt. If someone is smarter than you, like Lathan is a finance guy. Lathan, you do budgeting all day, right?
it's effortless for him now.
So-
It's like, yeah.
So if you know someone that's better than you, talk to them. Talk to them. And another question is, what is your balance after all your expenses are paid? Those are some questions you have. What is your balance? Because if your balance, that's important, because you don't want to spend what you don't have. Another question is, were there any surprises for you? Are there any surprises coming up?
Oh, all the time. Yeah. I mean, like
What kind of
you touched
surprise-
on, car stuff is a big one.
What can come up? So put those things down that could really just throw you off,
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
because nobody wants to be going to school in the wintertime. And you have something to say, Shuz?
No, I'm just saying, when you talking about put in perspective, like things can come up, anything, you get sick, and then you don't have the insurance or something like that. You got to come out. That's an expense.
Right.
Something come up, a pipe burst or something. Household goods, or just car damage or something of some sort. So there's always something that comes up. And this happens to me all the time, right? So it looked like I got some money right here, right? I'm looking at it like, oh, I got plenty of money right here. But then guess what? Something happens.
Yeah.
So now that, it goes like this. Instead of me continue that and here, it start to do this when something come up. And these don't be little small things.
Mhm.
It's always a major item that happens.
Yeah.
When I say by major, 1,000 plus, right?
Yep.
And of household goods. And it happens. A transmission. Now you're looking at 3,000, right? All these little things can, and and budgeted for, it's for everybody. Barbers probably, it's for everybody, but other people, or especially like in my case as a teacher, we don't have those like top incomes like that, right? We're right there, so we won't be poor, right?
Yeah.
That's basically what we get, enough not to be poor. But so we that's what happens with us. But we can save a little, but you can't continue to keep saving over and over, because these little things, these extras, the peripheral things,
And they are going to happen.
they are going to
And if you're
happen.
listening, they're going to happen. They're going to happen to you. They're
It's
going to happen to
gonna-
everybody. It's always
everybody-
going to be something.
We always go through it, and but one thing about it, and you continue to grow with your savings and everything as barbers or teachers or whatever occupation you do. Spend what you have, spend enough to support you, and save something, because save a little at a time. If it's 5%, 10%, 20%, or whatever you get for that month, you save a build it up, because life is going to send you curveballs, gentlemen.
And that's why at the end there, what are some surprises?
Yeah.
You have to think about those things. So now here you've saved, and you're a barber now, you got your license, you prepared well. You listen to this podcast and you understand that you have to budget. You have to start off going to school the right way, because things can happen. You've done all this, and now you're in the shop. You started making some money. Everybody realized that 3 ways that's kind of proven to get wealthy is real estate, investing, and entrepreneurship. So now you have a little bit of income now. So you want to kind of put some of the coins in one of those brackets right there. Because again, we love this industry. It's a great industry, but we want to be able to enjoy it and enjoy our life as well. Have you guys thought about that?
All the
Yeah,
time.
for sure. Yeah.
So when you think about that, what goes to your mind? Which one do you see that you could dabble in to help you grow what you need to do? Why? Because number
investing-
one, you're an entrepreneur already. Because being a barber, you're going to be your own businessman.
So I don't think you have to even limit yourself to just any of them. You could honestly do all 3.
Right.
But investing would be a big one, just because it's so anyone can get their hands in it without
Right.
I mean, they got apps now that you can
Right.
do that with. So I think that's a very easy one just to get, dabble your hands in. And then real estate is like a bigger one.
Right.
So it'd be harder to get into, but once you do get into it, I feel like it'd be a pretty
Especially right now.
lucrative.
Right.
Right
very
now,
Oh.
for
Market
sure.
is
Yeah.
crazy right now.
But the key is, again, we just giving you steps to start.
Mhm.
And the key is for everyone out there, if you start in barber school, come up with a plan, come up with a budget, because the opportunity is going to be there for you. But if you don't come up with a budget and prepare it in, it's going to be more difficult. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be like churning and trying to beat yourself up swimming upstream. So go ahead.
So do you believe? So what do you think? Where do you think a person has to be financially before going to barber school?
It's all plan and preparation.
Yeah.
Because once you make it your passion and something that you're going to enjoy, something that you're going to love, if you say to yourself you're going to love this thing and you've been intrigued by it, that's when you have to start. There was a student who started today. She said she made her mind up 3 months ago that she's come to barber school. She was homeschooled. She said three months before that, she did not know she wanted to be a barber. She took one of those tests, aptitude tests, and it says on the top of the list, cosmetology. But she said, I don't think I want to do cosmetology, but I want to do barbering. So within the past 3 months, she's cut her grandfather's hair, her brother's, and her dad's. And she said she loved it. So right there and then, she's like, let me look into schools. And she found us. So she's been preparing from then. So my whole process for her right now is prepare to love this industry. Make this your passion, because when you make this your passion, you're going to get where you need to be, because you're going to be making that income, and then you'll be able to go into the passive income, the investing, the real estate. Because number one on the list, you're already an entrepreneur.
Are already feeling like 1099.
Yeah. So I think is that you have to start then. Don't wait. And we have listeners from around the world: Russia, Germany, Switzerland, all through the Caribbean, every county in Tennessee, all through the United States, Tacoma, Washington, Boston, New York, Florida. And there are a lot of people who sitting there thinking about on the fence about starting school and what to expect and how to be successful. So the gems that we're dropping, we teach them how to earn the crown by giving them insight. And everything that you guys said, Wyatt, Bo, Sean, on your way to Arizona, am I? It's it's validation for them to help them make their mind up. Because a lot of time people just don't know. They don't have that oomph, that resource. Because we all know this industry, what we think of it. What do you think of this industry?
It's the best. You can. There's nothing like it.
Right.
really.
Like I remember listening. I'm like building up to like what I'm thinking about, and like I went to college. I have a college degree. Doesn't even compare. Like nothing is as good as like I graduate in about 2 months, and I can't wait. Nothing is more exciting than
Like a
getting
whole other
gathered to
door
work.
open to you.
Am
Yeah.
I? What do you think of this industry?
I mean, I love it. I mean, I can't honestly think of a time where I was so passionate about anything. Maybe football back in the day, but I didn't really care about football that much. I mean, now it's like having a whole world opened up to me. It's like I stepped out of a closet and outside, and it's like it.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. People just have to try it for
You just
themselves.
gotta go do it.
Yeah, just do
And
it.
it's not like it's just cutting hair. That's what I hear a lot. Well, you're just cutting hair. It's not though.
No.
Like maybe to like you who does this, it might be, but it's not. It's like it's a community. It's a
It's a
brotherhood,
vibe.
if you will.
It's
It's
a
a vibe. It's a
vibe.
whole thing.
It's so much. And for me, like I said, it was just like watching. I'm an artist, and I'm watching a canvas that I put this work on, and every 30 minutes is leaving. And then you see people say, "Man, I love my haircut." They do a James Brown split and come back up and like lick the eyebrows, and and that makes you feel good. And that's the joy that I like about my industry.
Mhm.
I'm putting some work on this canvas every 30 minutes and it's leaving for someone else to enjoy it. So it's important to prepare because this industry is going to treat you well if you treat it well. Sean, when you hear us talk about Barber and how we like it about this industry, what goes through your mind as a client? Just a person who just
For me, just listening to the conversation, it kind of make me excited for you, listening to the excitement that come out your mouths, the voice and the way it carries in this room right here that we have about, you guys having that passion for, cutting hair, making people feel good about themselves. That's a service that I enjoy for myself when I'm sitting in the chair. And, you know, good barbers, you can feel it as they putting it, doing it. You can feel the clips all over the thing. You know when you got a good haircut because it feels so smooth.
Mhm.
I'm sitting back there, I could really go to sleep in there
Yeah.
because I feel comfortable, in that chair. And obviously, everybody got to work on their craft, and I think these two gentlemen here on my right here, they love it already, and they just now getting involved in it. They're students and everything, and like my man said over here that he graduated through college and everything, and barber school was so different, feels so different to him, and it was a wonderful feeling where you can feel good about it because every job that you take, you got to feel good about doing it. Getting up, going to work every single day. It's the best feeling in the world, right?
Yeah.
That's why I enjoy what I do. I love spending my money at your barber shop because I get to relax,
Yeah.
and it's always a home atmosphere there. The places I've been, and I've been at barbershops all over this country, so, and right now when I come to Johnson City, Tennessee, it's a wonderful feeling getting in the man's chair over here. Craig is over at Crown Cuts, and
that's what we formed our bond. Our friendship
that's our friendship came from right there, and we went from there and just keep growing, and I always come back. I mean, I left twice already. and always coming back, right? So it's an experience. And so for all you future barbers, you know, you can find your craft and get it done and do it right. Things will happen for you, and you will be amazing. But hey, listen to this podcast. I'm gonna save your money, invest it, do all those things. If you do those, you're going to accomplish the world. All right.
You don't need them new clippers. You got clippers. You don't need the new ones.
Well, I'm not gonna say you don't need those new clippers.
Get some new blades.
But when you start out, you get so excited and you think you're gonna put this clippers that's going so fast and it's shining in your hand, and it's gonna make you do the tape and the fade even better.
Yeah.
That's a falsy. That's not the truth. You gotta put some time into it. You have to invest into it. You have to know how to watch it unfolds, and until it becomes muscle memory, it's not gonna happen for you. It's gonna be that math problem.
Get the reps
But
in.
you don't want those pinto clippers. You gotta have something in the middle. Right? I'm asking. I'm
no,
not
you're
there.
right. You gotta have some the kit. They got some solid clippers in the kit.
My best pair of clippers, I bought them, I think, on Wish.
On Wish.
That site Wish.
Yeah.
And there was some clippers from some Chinese clippers, and they was really good.
Yeah.
What was
And
that?
it was
Kimis or Kimes?
I bet it was those. Yeah.
But they still been around for a long time.
no, I know the clippers. If you buy the rule of thumb, if you buy some clippers under $20, most often than not, you're thinking it's not good. These clippers was like $18.75
with shipping.
but they were so good. The blades were so good, and they were so good, right? That I bragged on it so much. The student, he asked to borrow them, and he just took them with him.
He's like, shoot, they ain't but $18.
Yeah, he took them with him, and I saw him when they said, "Craig, I bought you the same pair of clippers. I gotta bring them to you." I mean, those clippers were like, and so my point is, until your hand is ready for that memory, it don't matter what you have in your hands. But now, when you learn how to cut hair, you can cut well. A good pair of clippers can make your haircut more efficient. It can save you time.
Time is money.
Yeah.
Money is time.
Money is time. Time is money. But the key is, again, this budgeting, saving, preparing. Make your first day like your last, and make your last like your first, and make that your everything. So coming to whatever school you're going to, go in there and treat it like you're in the industry for 20 years. Learn as much as you can. Maximize your time. Maximize your time so you can have conversations like this one day in the podcast. Man, I love barbering. I went to college and it wasn't for me. Stepped into barbering and it just unfolds. Where you meet friendship, where you foster friendship. And that's what it's about.
That's what we're talking about before you got here. We was talking about, they asked me the difference between how I did it and how they did it. You lose those relationships when you don't go to school. That's something that you build so much. The relationships of people that you make will get you a lot farther than just, your own skill alone.
It's priceless. You can't put a price on relationships. So what's going through your mind? Why? What are you hearing? Yeah.
I've never considered what you were talking about, the clippers thing. You're not ready for a good pair of clippers yet. So I never considered that. So I don't even know what it's like cutting with a bad quality pair of clippers.
Right.
Like I started out with cordless masters. So I don't even know what it's like.
300 off the top.
That's
the budget man right here with the diamond chain.
Fortunately, I got a great girlfriend, and she bought those for me.
Well, like Sean said,
out.
you prepare. He said his wife. He gives everything to his wife, and she budget and she makes sure everything is paid. So you got a good girlfriend. She started off for you, giving you the proper things, the proper tools to get where you need to be. That's amazing. What about you, Bo? What are you thinking about when you hear the conversations we're having?
I'm thinking about some financial stuff. I'm thinking about all the stuff like earlier, talking about just getting started. Graduate very soon. Thinking about all the stuff I want to do. Pretty worried about things like retirement and that kind of stuff.
So imagine you were starting to think about that day one when you walked in.
Yeah.
How much prepared and better you would be.
Probably a lot better.
But it's okay. But it's not too late. It's okay. It's not too late because the podcast is to let people know, hey, things to look out for.
This is one of the things you should be doing.
This
for
is one of
sure.
the things you should be doing because you have to prepare.
And it comes up quick. That was one of the things we heard a lot in school. You'll hear the first 200 or 300 hours is going to be really slow and long. I didn't feel that, and I don't know about you, but it went quick. And now
I
we're
agree.
at 12, and I feel like yesterday we were at
right.
2-3.
But you think of it like so long term, you're like thinking hour one, that's 1,500 hours ago. That's a year
Yeah.
from now. And you make it seem so broad and so stretched out and so like difficult. When you start out, you're like, this first week I only got 40 hours in.
Yeah.
I got 1,400 and you're like, man. But after a while, enjoy it because it flies by.
You're learning so much and you're doing so much, and
Right.
I mean, it's gone.
And now you get to be excited about it's a whole nother challenge going out to the world and starting your careers.
Yeah.
That's like a whole nother, y'all, because it feels like it's ended. It's not, it is just beginning.
Yeah.
You're just getting ready to really see it for sure. And like all this sitting down that you might get to do, like that's gone too. You don't get to sit down no more. You might as well forget that.
So what kind of advice would you want to give to someone starting out? A new student.
Listen to this podcast. Number one. Number two, just keep your options open and don't say no to stuff, and make sure you're learning. I think that's one of the biggest things, both with this industry, but also with like budgeting and financial stuff. Just make sure you're staying up to date and that you're talking to people and that you're willing to learn from other people. I see that a lot where it's just people who, well, I know everything, so I'm not going to do anything. No, you don't. You need to go talk to people. You need to learn stuff. And just stay with it. Make sure you're paying attention to it.
Stay current.
I got two things.
Just two?
Our school.
Why? Just two? You got more than that.
Just two as far as starting school.
Mhm.
So they give you a great kit. Just
Right.
keep it. You don't have to get all that good stuff. And number
said
two,
good stuff.
all the crazy stuff.
because we talking about budgeting, it's gonna set you back.
Yeah.
If you're working without a cord, you're privileged.
Yeah.
You gotta stay with the corded stuff. And number two, as simple as it sounds, just pack your lunch. It saves you time and it saves you money.
But that's part of budgeting.
Yeah, it's budgeting.
That's part of budgeting. That's what we talking. That's what we're
Yeah.
talking about. Budgeting.
So we went way down, like in the hole as far as going out to lunch every day.
Yeah.
We went out plenty.
What was your
of money.
favorite one? Where did you go to all the time?
We currently all we go to is Barb's and Amigos. Like,
Y'all
that's
going
our
out to eat. Oh man.
So you think about that.
But we're getting better at it. Sorry.
You thinking about spending on lunch about like $15 minimum.
But yeah, 10 to 15
Wow.
per
15 every day.
a
Yeah.
day. Yeah. It's
So
tough.
15 times 5.
Yeah.
That's $75
A week.
a week.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just lunch. We're not talking about if you get something for breakfast, stop and get a soda
Yeah.
at before school, get a bag of chips,
Yeah.
and then after school, stop and get some chips or a sub somewhere. So you're looking at maybe spending $25-$30 a day.
Yeah.
It is. It's embarrassing. to
That's
talk
why you
about.
write it down. So when you write it down, we know how much we're spending.
That's important. That's
He's ashamed.
important.
I'm just ashamed of myself.
Yeah. That's important.
lot of money.
It is.
Yeah.
My bank account's felt it. And to be me, I'm usually pretty stressful about money, but it's like that's one of those things that I keep out of my budgets where it's like I need food, but like I don't need that much. I don't need the expensive food.
So you
like
gonna
that.
sit in the
Yeah,
camera
I
and
can
tell
work
you
with
gonna sit
something
in the
cheaper.
camera and tell your girlfriend thank you for helping you budget.
Thank you, Jamie, for helping me budget and buying my clippers.
What a shout out.
I mean, that's cool, man. And shout out again, 2 students from Jenny Lee Academy, right down the street from Crown Cuts Academy. We had Mr. Stewart supposed to come on. He couldn't get off, but on the next one, we'll get him on there. Again, shout out to Jenny Lee Academy. We have Bo and my man, YWJAT, Wyatt, on the ones and twos. What do you guys think about the podcast today?
I've loved it.
What do
I
you
think it's
love?
been fun. Yeah.
What do you love about it? First, were you nervous?
No, I wasn't nervous.
You one of the first people to get on there and say they wasn't nervous.
I was nervous up until today,
How was you?
and then I'm like, and then it went away. I don't know why.
Did you have like different expectations that made you nervous? Like what did you? Was it something that you had in the back of your mind that you thought about that made you nervous?
I thought it was gonna be like, it's really casual,
Right.
And it's good that way. I thought it was
Yes.
gonna be a little bit more like, not stern per se, but more like strategic maybe.
Right.
But the way you guys do it just works out perfect, and everybody just keeps talking. It's a good flow.
Yeah, it's a good
You
flow.
don't ever feel really awkward.
What about you, Bo?
I'm enjoying it, and I felt pretty good about it the whole time. I knew it was going to be a pretty
Yes.
casual, friendly environment, I've wanted we do this all the time at school. We just sit
Right.
and have powwows with each other.
And just vibe.
So I figured it would just be
Yep.
same thing, different group.
But everybody who's been in the podcast, you have to come on again. You have to come
Sounds
on
good to
again.
me.
You have to come on with some questions. Because we're gonna roll reverse. And I tell Sean, you too. You gotta come back on. Next time you come, we're gonna hit you on it again. So we've been on here now for almost an hour. Does it seem like an hour?
No,
Not even close.
y'all got plans? We could just talk all night.
I
hang
know.
out.
It seems like we've been on there for about. It just seemed like an hour. It seemed like
just goes
we just
by.
got on, and that's a good part about it. It just goes by. It just flows. It just flows. But again, it's important because there are students out there or people who are sitting on the fence wondering, should they go to school? Should they go to cosmetology school? Should they go to nail school? Should they go to, or just change a career? It's important to have something to kind of give you some type of description of what you're getting ready to get into. You laughing? Why? Why are you laughing? What's so funny?
Nah, I'm just having a good time.
This is the bridge. You get on the bridge.
I thought you
Yeah.
had something in your mind.
No.
You're sitting there conspiring, like, let me think of this. What's going on?
This podcast,
Yeah.
Craig's the ferryman. He brings the boat over. He brings the podcast to you, and he eases you across to your new career. Change your
Because
life.
most people, honestly, it's like, man, they get so nervous when they come on, and then they're like, oh, this was cool. This was straight. But I think what it is most people don't want to hear their voice.
I hate it a lot. I
They-
can't deal with it, but I'm getting over it.
What do you mean you can't deal with it? What's so bad?
You don't just hate hearing your own voice.
No.
I hate it.
I mean,
Really?
Yeah, I can't stand it. It's crazy. It just feels weird.
And then wait till you go back and listen to this after it's posted, and you'll be like, because I do it every time. I'm like, man, and I was like,
That's
nah,
how I
whatever.
sound?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like, whatever. It is.
But check this out. The people who's listening, who you told about the podcast today, they're gonna be like, boy, you did a good job.
Yeah.
You might, you know what I'm saying? They get some insight from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Nah, I'm telling you. Yeah, I mean, so what do you think, Sean? What do you think about the podcast today?
Yeah, I enjoyed listening. Like I said once before, it's a educational format, platform that you guys are putting out there. And it's a great experience with people, just ordinary people, talking about what they do. And you don't get that to see that every day, and see how people, I've never met any of you guys once before other than you, and the room is filled with a lot of love and and excitement here. So that's what I really love hearing you guys. And then if I wasn't so old, I'd probably turn to a barber.
Nah.
Listen to y'all.
That's an excuse. You can do it.
Yeah, no, I think I've been doing my job for a long time, and I enjoy it like you guys do.
You're a teacher. You said teacher,
Yeah,
right?
teacher and the football coach.
Yeah,
So
right.
I mean, I'm giving back too. So and that's what thing you guys get. You guys make people feel good once they get out the chair and move on to the next, wherever they're going, to the job or another interview or anything like that. They look good doing that. And so you're giving it back to us. And I really appreciate that as a client, coming in the barbershop. And I think it's a good thing for when the barbers reach out to each other and just like we have our coaches associations and all that type of stuff, and the same thing you guys doing with this podcast, you sharing your experience with those future barbers, or if they, like you said, on the fence, they might take that next step over, but now you let them know what it is to do it prior to getting involved in that. And a lot of jobs don't tell you all that when you or careers or business ventures. They don't tell you everything about it.
Mhm.
You guys are letting them know, being forward right from the start, letting everybody know how it is.
You have to think about how to be successful in this industry. Why do you need to do this? How is it going to prepare you?
Yeah.
What do you need to do?
And you've been doing this for a long time, since the last time when I met you was probably 2003 or something like that. So, it's been a good ride, and like you said, what you've been doing has been successful because your career has blossomed since from day one, from being an everyday to an instructor. That's a big jump. Now you're teaching these other ones how to move forward in their careers.
And now from being a barber to an instructor to being a schooler to being the two school owners. I mean, the possibility is so much once you get into this industry. But my key is get into it the right way. Maximize your time in school. Learn as much as you can, and understand that if you treat this industry well, it's going to treat you exceptional.
And then you reciprocate all the goodness that's been done for you or has been dished out to you. Try to give it back tenfold, and your cup will runneth over. And I believe that wholeheartedly.
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I'm gonna come around and each one of you guys barber get my hair cut every time I come through here. And
I've been looking at your hair. You got good hair. I've been looking at your hair the whole time. Like, man, edge that up real quick. You got some waves.
But, been on the road though, a few days,
I understand.
and then heading back again.
Sean used to typically get the little players part right
Oh,
there.
okay.
Sean brought that to JC. He said he
I
brought.
brought that to JC back in 2003.
So you're originally from Arizona?
No, originally from California.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I moved up here and back and forth, and I down in Virginia for a time, but
Alabama.
always Alabama. I've been all over places, but this man's always been there, right there. Every time I come in, he's the same. Show you love, smile in your face, and let you know that he's having a good time, and let us go. We always show, no matter what. I will anything ever happen, I will always be committed to this gentleman right here. Like today, all of a sudden I'm going over what's going on?
Just adapt, but that's
What you doing right now?
But that's what barbering do for you, though. People don't understand that. The love that you get in barbering, the relationships that you make, the networking that you'll do, that stuff is priceless because you make some lifelong friends. Because people can see you enjoying your journey, enjoying your job. You're so passionate about it. And if you're passionate about what you do, why would someone not want to be around you? If you go to someone, you have a bad service, they just hate their job. You might probably never go back to that restaurant. You might never go back to that server. If they go from one restaurant to another, you be like, I want a different server. You remember those things.
I ain't been to Chili's since then. I'm telling you. Chili's broke my heart.
So it's important, man, too. You know what I mean? Spread love. Spread love the Crown Cuts way. The only way we know how to do it is the JC way. Again, we're going to go back around and we're going to break it down. Barber College Success, brought to you by Craig Charles of Crown Cuts Academy, JC, Crown Cuts Academy, Bristol, and Craig's Crown Cuts downtown Johnson City. We had another wonderful episode talking about budgeting, one of the most important things of barbering to set you apart, get you prepared. Because if you plan to fail, you're going to fail. So prepare. Again, one time for your mind. Barber College Success.